Welcome to Raining Blue and White. I'm your host, Robert. This is the place where we talk about Penn State football and college football in general. Our main goal here is to cut the bull and be like a lean, mean, fighting defense and as versatile as pro style offense. Let's get rolling. Okay, this week, week 11's my games I picked and also the spread predictions. Let's start with I have my lovely little notebook with the my spread predictions for this week. So let's get rolling into the first game. And of course, the first game is going to be the common one. Michigan versus Penn State. Number 2, Michigan Wolverines versus the number 9, Penn State Nittany Lions. Let's see if the Lions can actually pounce on the Wolverine, or is the Wolverine just going to maul the Nittany Lions once again? Which I give it a spread prediction of, I'm looking at last week's, 3 to 21 point spread. It's a good possibility it's going to stay close, I would say. Could be a 3-point game, or it could get out of hand depending on how Drew Aller does on that side, or that defense ends up giving up on the Penn State side. It could get bloody. But if everything goes the way it should be at minimum 3 points or at maximum 21. So let's hit the next one. Next game is okay, there it is. Pitt and Syracuse, the old Big East rivals. The Pitt Panthers versus the Syracuse Orange. I always will say Syracuse Orange or Orange Men, either or. Which this is pretty much Big East football back in my day. So I say a 7 to 14 point spread. I think this is going to be either by 1 or 2 scores. How bad Pitt has been and how bad Syracuse is, I think this is going to be the closest game they'll see in a long while. They've seen a few other closer games, but I don't think they're going to see anything else closer this season. Okay, next game. Nope, I must have been quick on the trigger. Sorry, a little bit of technical difficulty right here, folks. There it goes. Number 7, Texas versus TCU. So that one up. Okay, it's back up again. Okay, that's a minor technical difficulty. Number 7, Texas Longhorns versus the TCU Horned Frogs. Well, I've seen a lot of the games with Texas, and also I've seen some the TCU game. This, I would say, is a 3 to 21 point spread. This could get out of hand. I'm saying if TCU plays pretty decent, it could be a 3-point spread, but I'm leaning on the higher end of this, my prediction of this range. It's just that TCU it's like it's a totally different team compared to last year. It's not an insult. It's just that, I don't know. I think they're going to get gored by the bull this year. It's just that. Plus, also reports said Quentin Ewers is coming back, so my puppies should be happy with this, even though their only loss was to Oklahoma. But I can't give you any further than that one on that. Let's get on to the next one. I think this is going to be one of the most interesting besides the Penn State and Michigan game this week, and that would be okay. I went a little too far with my thumb. Okay, it's now number 10 Ole Miss Rebels versus number 1 Georgia Bulldogs, which this is going to be quite fun. I think the Bulldogs have a better advantage over Ole Miss, but I think this could be a 7 to 30 point spread. I think if Ole Miss plays good defense, because I know they have a really decent offense, they can probably keep it close. If the Georgia defense doesn't and becomes pretty much a race, I think the 7 to 30 point spread I'm saying, it could end up happening, and Georgia just literally could blow them out with a 36 point spread, which is not 36. That's 30 point spread, not 36. I'm looking at the other one. That's what happens when you have dyslexia, folks. So that's a 7 to 30 point spread. because I'm about to announce the next game, and I'm okay. Next game, number 13 Utah Utes versus the number 5 Washington Huskies. This, I've actually had some discussions with some Utah fans. I'm like, this can get out of hand really quick. To be truthful, I'm not trying to be, and most Utah fans know that have talked to me. They know I'm pretty straightforward. I've seen this Washington team. The offense is very good. Their defense is pretty much above average. They're almost flirting that. I'm not saying they're flirting. I'm thinking they're flirting more than above average. It's pretty decent. To decent, almost in between decent and elite. Because Michigan, all the ones from like the Big Ten or the SEC, that is you're flirting close to either elite or elite. They're almost there. That's the reason why I don't mind. I'm actually very happy for the Big Ten bringing in Washington. I wish they brought in also Utah, but there's other issues behind that with the Big Ten. But let's get into the spread prediction. I say this will be a 3 to 36 point spread. This could get out of hand, especially if Utah can't keep the ball away from Washington. That's the reason why I didn't say that per se to the Utah fans, but that's the fact that if your defense cannot hold up and play the same type as Washington, the bend don't break. I've also looked at your injury report offensively. You have if I remember right, you have 2 injured running backs and also a few receivers and tight ends. I know you're talking about you can just rely on the running game, but yeah, and we've seen what happened with Washington when people try the running game. It might work at first, and then it just fizzles out a little bit, and you're playing behind. Then you're gonna have to play the game of catch up the rest of the game, and it's proven USC couldn't even do it. So it's like we have to really be realistic about this. It's gonna be a tough game. I hope it's a close one. That's what I'm rooting for, a close game with 3-point victory. But this is the only reason why I'm talking so much about this game, because I have people that are on both sides of this fan base, on both fan bases. And I'm like, I would like a close matchup, not a freaking blowout. They make it very interesting because both teams they're going to 2 different conferences, with Utah going to the Big 12 and Washington going to the Big 10. It's a good matchup. I feel sad for this type of matchup won't happen again. And we're going to get to the final game on the regular slate. And that is Michigan State versus, I forgot to type in, and that's number 3, Ohio State. This one I think is going to be, at least if Michigan stays toe-to-toe with Ohio State, I would say 3 points. But I think this is going to be a blowout by Ohio State, truthfully. That's the reason why it's 3 to 40. And I think Ohio State is more capable of blowing out Michigan State. It is very possible. It sounds ridiculous, but I already seen Ohio State play. Michigan State, I'm trying to think who else they played. I think they did play terrible against another team in the Big Ten. I just can't remember which team it was. I don't know if it was Minnesota or something. Hold up. Let's see before I even start rattling off. I'll just type it into my phone. Go to the Michigan State Ohio State game and just press on Michigan. See, I could swear I know they got. I'm not saying blown out, but. It was it was the Michigan game, the Minnesota game. It was 12 to 27. They got beaten, and also Michigan actually blown them out. That's the blowout. It was Michigan blew them out 29 to nothing. That was what I was thinking. And Ohio State and Penn State are not far behind Michigan on that. Hell, who knows? Penn State might be above Michigan for all we know until this week. I knew they got blown the hell out by somebody. So it was Michigan that blew them out. I know it was kind of weird. There was another one I thought the Minnesota game was a big issue, but it was actually the Michigan game was a blowout. Okay, let me make sure I have my mouse Ready? There we go. Okay, the wild card games. Miami versus Florida State. I give that a 7 to 30 point spread. I think the Seminoles could run away with this game, especially with the coaching of I forget his name from Miami, the head coach of Miami, but he when it comes down to crunch time near the end of the game, he ends up making mistakes. That's the reason why I put 7 points, because I think Florida State can pull this off by 7 points. Yeah, even Miami could, but I don't think Miami's equipped for Florida State's team. It's just how things are going right now. Then the final one, number 23, Arizona versus Colorado Buffaloes. This is quite interesting. I'm saying this could get out of hand for Arizona because of how terrible Colorado's offensive line is. I'm saying a 3 to 40 point spread. If Colorado can keep Sanders upright, I can't pronounce his first name, so I'm going to just say Sanders because it is Deion's son. If they can keep him upright and not running 100% always for his life, and make passes, or hell, make him run, even if he has to run, okay. But still, sooner or later, that's going to bite you in the butt, and it has for Colorado all season for that. While Arizona, I'm not seeing any Arizona games, so I'm giving them just by face value, looking at their games they played, and this Colorado offense, the defense, it's so. You don't know what type of defense is coming out every week with Colorado. They can come out very hot at the beginning, or they can come out cold and then come out hot in the second half, but they're behind. That's the problem with Colorado on theirs. That's the reason why it could get out of hand really quick, because we do not know how Colorado's defense is going to come out, but we know how Colorado's offense is. Because if you add pressure on the Sanders, it's going to become that he's going to either have to run for his life. That's the one thing, or he's going to have to, when the pocket breaks down, he's going to have to make the throws. And he could make the throws, but I don't know. Are they going to be enough yardage to get him first downs? That's what's going to be the hard part. I've seen it, and I've also said a lot of I've not a lot of bad spread prediction. I'm just saying every time I had them in a spread prediction, they ended up blowing up in my face for 2 weeks. And I was like, forget this. I'm not putting them in. And I'm like, okay, this is going to be an interesting game. I want to give Arizona at least a game because I've not had them. I love to have them on my spread predictions. It's just that there's nothing appealing. And I'm like, well, in this case, this could be appealing as a wild card since I added the wild card. I'm like, this is going to be a decent wild card game. I can be outrageous about it. Okay. Make sure you like, subscribe, share it around, comment in the comments. And I'm here. We are Penn State. And all the rest of you is lock and load. See you next time.